Introduction to classes in TypeScript. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to look at one of the important aspects of TypeScript, which is its support for classes. TypeScript, as you may know, is a superset of JavaScript that introduces static typing. This means it allows us to write JavaScript code that is easier to maintain and less prone to runtime errors. Where it is particularly important to understand classes because if you're doing any software development involving TypeScript, classes will be one of the fundamental thing that will be used over and over. Defining classes in TypeScript. Let's start by understanding how to define a class in TypeScript. The syntax is quite straightforward. We use the class keyword followed by the class name. So here's a simple example. We have a class named car that represents a basic vehicle. And also notice how we define properties and methods inside our class, such as engine for storing engine details and start for starting the car. Class members. So in any class, we distinguish between properties and methods. Properties represent data, while methods represent actions. In TypeScript, properties can be public, private, or protected, and they control where they can be accessed from. For instance, private properties cannot be accessed outside the class. This is useful for encapsulating and safeguarding your data. And this keyword, as you see here, refers to the current instance of the class, so allowing access to its properties and methods. Inheritance. So inheritance allows us to create a new class based on existing class. So when that happens, the new class inherits all the properties and methods of the existing class. So in TypeScript, we use extends keyword for inheritance. For example, electric car extends car and inherits its properties and methods. And also adding new features like a battery pack, and overriding methods is also a crucial concept where the child class changes the behavior of a method inherited from the parent class. So this allows for more specific behavior in derived classes. Interfaces and classes. So interfaces in TypeScript are powerful. They define contracts for classes without dictating how the details are implemented. So when a class implements an interface, it agrees to adhere to the structure the interface describes. So for example, here we have the vehicle interface, and this vehicle interface requires that any class implementing it must have start and stop method. And we can see that bike class that implements vehicle interface implements start and stop. And this is particularly useful for ensuring consistency and predictability in the behavior of objects. Practical examples. So we can look at example here of seeing like how classes and interfaces are used together. For instance, the factory pattern can be implemented using classes to create a flexible system where objects can be created at runtime depending on the need. And similarly, the singleton pattern makes sure that a class has only one instance. So we have this factory pattern here. We have vehicle factory interface that has create vehicle method that receives type as string, and then it returns a vehicle. So concrete vehicle factory implements this vehicle factory interface, and what happens is it looks at the string type, and if it's a car, it's going to return a new car. If it says bike, it's going to return new bike. Conclusions. Remember that classes are a fundamental part of TypeScript that helps organize and structure your code effectively. Classes encapsulate data, inherit functionality, and ensure that objects adhere to specified contracts through interfaces. So I highly encourage you to look more into TypeScript class documentation and get comfortable with classes. That's it for this lecture. Thank you everyone for listening.